And we'll start letting everybody in.
Okay. Get back to the meeting.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining tonight.
Hi, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk. Just want to thank you for having this.
Oh, you're allowed to talk.
Thank you for joining. Yes.
I think we're just going to give people let's see, what time is it? Give people some time to join. I'll say I hope everyone is having a good evening. It's Thursday. It's almost Friday. I like this, Dr. Nelson. The stones
thank
and
I call them stones.
oh yeah. Got some Black men joining also. Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started soon. We're just going to let some more people join. Okay, I think we're good on getting started. Dr. Lovey?
Mhm.
Well, thank everyone for joining. Let me get my screen open here. Danielle, you want to go ahead and do your introduction for BWICR?
Yes, I can. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Danielle Coe. I'm the CEO and founder of Black Women in Clinical Research. The mission of Black Women in Clinical Research is to educate, empower, support, and help Black women thrive in the clinical research industry. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have Dr. Nelson, when we're going to be talking about stepping stones. This is being presented by the Nurses of Black Women in Clinical Research. We also have Dr. Lovey and Michelle, and I'm gonna let them take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danielle, for having us again. So excited to finally have this is our second nursing talk for the Black Women in Clinical Research Division Department. And we have some new leaders that's kind of joined on and helping me get things going again. And I'm getting more nurses involved, bringing an array of experiences to the platform. So Michelle, do you have a few words you want to say?
I just want to say hi, everybody. Just looking forward to hearing Dr. Nelson and just trying to present opportunities to other nurses about clinical research. We're just really excited about getting more nurses into this realm.
All right.
We're really small here, so but we'll go ahead and get started. We actually have a pretty good turnout. So I'm excited about 17 people being in the room tonight. Again, just make sure you invite your nursing friends. I mean, at least 17 people have, even emailed me on LinkedIn, just trying to get into the field. So I kind of reached back out to them into their inboxes and said, hey, this is a really good time to get a lot of your questions answered. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Pamela Nelson. Dr. Nelson is the founder of Brocane Company. It's a globally recognized clinical research organization. Amazing company. Dr. Nelson comes with over 35 years of experience in nursing, in oncology and healthcare outcomes. She has served in various areas such as hospitals, outpatient settings, administration, and research. And since 2002, she has actually led this company to provide services in phase 1 through 4 clinical research trials. And also those are to include global genetic studies, national training programs. She also has a CRA program. I think she'll talk about that during her presentation today, for project management, diabetes prevention, and staff augmentation. So we're really excited to have Dr. Nelson here, volunteering to speak with you all. It is not every day that you get a CEO of a company of this size and doing these type of milestones in the industry to volunteer to speak and be so willingly to come and present. So definitely open your ears, take some notes, please ask questions, and we're excited. So Dr. Nelson, we'll let you take it away.
Okay. So I just want to say hats off to you, all of you who are leading this charge. I met Danielle not quite even a year ago, and I'm just really excited about the things you all are doing. And I call this topic stepping stones because, as she said, I've been in this industry for a long time. And you can probably imagine that when we started out, or I started out, there wasn't a lot of roadmaps, support, mentors to help guide. So I am very honored to be able to talk to you and glad that you are on this effort. So this first slide, I'll tell you a little about me and, as we go along and talk a little bit about my journey. But I really want to be able to answer your questions as well. So if you have questions as I get finished, like I said, jot them down, and then I'll be more than happy to try to answer you and help route you the best way that I can. And I think that as we help each other, then the roadmap and all these different colors of stones and different sizes of stones will end up being like pebbles, because everybody will be able to walk on them and you'll have a path that you can follow. For some reason, this isn't going. I wanted to change. Let's see here. There we go. So as she said, right now, I've been in this industry for a total of 42 years. Most of that time has been spent in nursing, but I have been in the research space for 20 something years as well. Started the company in 2002. And when we first started, our primary focus was to dispel some of the myths around clinical research when it came to minorities. I happened to be working for a large pharma at the time, and that was their charge for me, was to see if we could enroll diverse investigators who had diverse patients into some of the hypertension studies that we were doing at the time. So that was my first introduction into this. I'd like to show a slide a little bit about me. I'm just a country girl from Longview, Texas, and I still live in Texas. But a lot of people have helped to shape who I am and guide me on this path. And this is just a summary of some of the things that are, and people who are important to me, whether it is my sewing or teaching my husband how to sew. We went on a charge last year of making masks to help the local community. And so I just think that whoever you are and whatever you're doing, you also have to recognize that and stay true to yourself when you're in this industry as well. So my first thing is, where are you? I think when I'm listening to some of the discussions and looking, a lot of people are saying they want to get into this industry. but where are you in this? Where are you in your space? Are you already in an area where research is possibly in your clinic or hospital, or in an area where you're working? That way you can identify what it is you want to do, kind of find out, is this the right timing for you? Sometimes people only know one role, and that may be the clinical monitor role. But if you have a small family, that may be too much, because when you really get to talking about what it's like to be a CRA, and I can tell you, with all the different roles I've had, sometimes traveling 3-4 days a week may not also be suitable for family. So just where are you and what are you trying to do is a good place to kind of help. I also say that this industry is just pregnant with possibilities. There are so many different areas that you can work in the research industry. It is just an enormous field to be in. You can identify with, if whatever you have as your passion, you can typically find that in this industry as well, whether that is helping people who have diabetes. They probably have something for you. It can be rare disease, sickle cell anemia. Wherever you land, there is a place for you to work in this industry. And then my biggest thing would be know who your target is. Sometimes we are looking, and as we're looking for different roles, you sometimes want to go down the path that someone else has taken. That may not be what you need to do. But I'm just going to say, know what that target is, whether it's a pharmaceutical company in clinical research or an insurance company doing outcomes research, or it could be a data management company that's only doing AI and analytics over big data, or it could be NIH or the FDA. There's a lot of different areas, but whatever that space is, you want to know where that target is and know where that target is going. If you're wanting to work in a particular area, and companies, it may be that you don't want to work with a CRO, then don't look at those. Look at the areas where you want to be, and then you have to practice that and stay true to that, and not go from place to place looking for work. And then I just really want to say, develop your game plan. If you decide wherever you decide you want to work, whether that's talking to different people and you're doing a lot of different things, come up with a plan and have someone review it. It can be someone who's already in the industry. I know I have talked to countless of people about where they can go, what they can do in this industry, and it helps them to kind of figure out what it is they want to do. Some change their mind, but most move forward. I know I have a very good friend who it took her 10 years to make a decision to jump into clinical research. And now she's always angry at me because she didn't do it fast enough. But wherever that space is for you, find it, and then let some of us who are in clinical research help guide you so that you're not trying to navigate these rough waters by yourself, but that you can have us help you and not just mentor you, but also sponsor you into those different areas where you're trying to go. And the one thing that I would say is to get in the game. Don't keep sitting on the sideline talking about what you want to do. Find something that you like in this area, and then let us help you get there. It doesn't have to be a long journey, but you do need to know who is friendly. And when I say friendly, some companies have set rules of whether or not it's new, people who have no experience, but there's a lot of people right now who are willing and ready to hire people who don't have a lot of clinical research experience. I know for me, I was a nurse. I was an oncology nurse, and I had been an oncology nurse for a long time. And when I got hired by the pharmaceutical company, their direct response to me, it wasn't about me having research experience. I didn't have any. They literally came to me because of the experience I had in oncology. And one of their managers just happened to see me at an ONS meeting, and I was talking at one of the industry groups. And I wasn't looking, but they were looking for me. And and I shouldn't say just me in general, but you know what I'm saying? They were looking for new people to come to the company. And I just happened to be one that, as they said, we can teach you how to monitor, but we cannot replace at that time, 15 years of experience in oncology to do what we need to do. And that's what you need to play on. So get in the game, expect to win. Don't put your toe in the water and go out there and say, oh, well, maybe they might hire me. You go in expecting to find the work, and the work will find you. I'm sure some of you are probably too young to remember this movie, but this is from The Golden Child, back when Eddie Murphy was in his movie days. But in this scene, he had to cross this abyss with these big logs and stones and rocks everywhere. And he had a cup of water, and he couldn't drop the water. And so this is what sometimes navigating this kind of an area can be like. Once you get out there, it's hard to go back to being just the nurse. And I'm not saying that trying to discredit being a nurse, because right now I applaud every one of you in the roles that you're in and what you're having to do. But when you're wanting to move forward, you just want to move forward. And you want to make sure that you've got a path or a target that you're looking forward to, and that you're steady on that path and keep moving. Not to say that this year it doesn't happen, or a door slams in your face, because when one closes, another one will open. And so always expect that you'll be able to continue to move forward. The other thing that I did want to talk about is, in this industry, sometimes you can find help in very difficult places. Sometimes when you think this picture that I'm looking at is the tall mountains area, and it looks, oh my God, how can I climb this high mountain to get up to the top? But as you can see, there's a lot of things to hold on to. There's trees and ledges, and the water is even calm. Yet on the other picture, it's much smaller, and you would think you could navigate it easier, but the water is just moving rapidly. So just weigh your odds of where you are, look for the support that you can, and then go with it. And it's all about trust. It's all about trust, and who you can trust in this industry, and being vulnerable and accepting where you are. The other thing that I would like to say is just narrow your focus. Sometimes, because this is such a big industry, and you may start out on this journey with someone else, and they may get a job before you, or you'll see something comes up and you want to go here, you want to go there. Just narrow your focus. And I say that because then it's easier for you to navigate your path if you're not moving all over the place. One of the best things that I do when I talk to people who want to get into clinical research, and they're coming to me, and I say, what is your background in? What do you know the most about when it comes to healthcare? And if all of your knowledge is in diabetes, because you've got family members who have diabetes, or you've seen every commercial or whatever, but diabetes, then stick with diabetes. Go to those companies who do a lot of diabetes trials, and you're going to focus on what you know. Don't always think about what they can give to you. Think about what you have to give to them, even if you don't have all of the criteria they're asking for. What do you have to offer and that skill set, and play to that skill set that you have? Because that is, like I said, when I went to Novartis, I didn't have the research experience. They truly came to me for the nursing and the oncology experience that I had. And a lot of companies still do that, because there's one less thing that they have to train you on. And so whatever that is that you have, look at that as well. As said, what do you have to offer? And it may just be your marketing skills of being able to recruit or talk to people. You never know what it is they're looking for, because now the traditional roles that we knew so far in research, I'm going to say back when I started in the 90s, it's a little different now. We've got a lot more roles. There's a lot more things that people are doing, and it's all under the auspices of research and development. So I just had a few other things that I would like to say, and that is, number one, you can learn the role, whatever that role you choose. I know that Black Women in Clinical Research talks a lot about the different roles and in the area or in this area, but I'm just going to say self-study. Take the time to learn about the role that you want to be in. Attend seminars, whether they're online, in person. It may be self-help that you can read. There's a lot of books on clinical research and being a CRA. I would just say get them, learn them, and know them. Mentoring. There's a lot of CRAs that want to mentor companies now, and it's not that you have to have a mentor that's in a company that you want to go on. Find someone that can mentor you in the industry on, it may be that you have multiple, it may be someone that can mentor you on scheduling or making sure that your reports are kept up to date, or just how do you navigate, all the emails that you're going to receive. There's a lot of different things that you may need that you're not familiar with that you can help support. And again, it may not be that it's in the clinical research space either. It could be just because of those skills that are required, you can use them in this space. I know some people get tons of messages and they can just manage and they project manage like crazy, but they didn't learn it in clinical research. They learned it because they were either at a call center or they did some other kind of work, and they were able to transfer those skills to this new industry. People who work in the emergency rooms, or you may have been an EMT at one time. All of those are skill sets that are very necessary when it comes to clinical trials, because again, companies may need your skill set, not just because they want you to go monitor, but because you know what different things are. You may know or have some information that would be much more beneficial. And because, monitoring is like, is it in the source and is it on the CRF? That's pretty much monitoring. But then when you're looking at all the other things that go into that, then how are you able to manage that and think critically? And as nurses, that's one of the key things that you've had to learn to do, is to think critically. And that's what monitoring is about. And then also look at short-term internships. There are companies who if a company you want to go work for, if they do not have an internship, then ask them if you can intern for them. You set it up and ask them, this is what I would like to do. Can I do this within your company? And then perform. Go again, you know what you need from them, ask them. Only they can do is say no. And if they say no, more than likely they will tell you what you need to do to get them to say yes. The other thing I would say would be stay in tune to the industry. There's a lot of things happening. New drugs are coming out every day. There's a lot of things going off the market every day, but know what is happening in the area that you would like to be in. If you choose data management, there's a lot going on with nurses and data management being able to navigate EMRs when it comes to AI and machine learning with research. There's a lot going on with decentralized clinical trials with nurses, where even as CRAs, they are going out. They're not so much going out to the homes, but they're looking at the data and, is this the same person? Is the person that is signing up for this study the same one that these records match? There are so many different things that you can do in this area of clinical research. So I just really want to say, these are some things that you can also do. Like I said, subscribe to corporate newsletters and industry news to stay abreast of what the companies are doing. Follow, troll them on LinkedIn, get into all of the relevant groups. There's a lot of podcasts on clinical research. A lot of the big CROs do podcasts, and they are on relevant topics, whether it is related to special populations or special disease categories. So stay in tune to all of those things. And then you're educating yourself about the industry, so that when you do get that interview, you don't have to, you can talk about what they're doing, and then you can also add to the conversation. And then they know, okay, you know what you're talking about. You may not have the experience in doing exactly the role that you want to do, but you know how to get the information that you need in order to learn that. So again, it makes you a better person to look at. I know when I look at tons of resumes often, and most of the people want to convince me that they know how to do clinical research when I talk to them. And it's not whether, and it's like, it may not be that I need you to know clinical research. I just need to know, can you read? Can you understand what you read? And are you teachable? And being teachable is a very important part as well. Being teachable and vulnerable if people have to tell you, don't do it this way, do it like this. And so those are the things, some key takeaways that I would say for that. And so one of my last things I would like to just say is, I like Jerry Rice. I'm a football fan, so and he's an old school guy, but I like this quote by him that says, "Today I will do what others won't do, so tomorrow I can do what others can't." And if you guys, and I'm sure you may not know a lot about Jerry Rice, but he was a very good wide receiver for a very long time, and he rarely missed the ball. And he practiced and he practiced and he practiced and practiced. And he stayed with his plan to get to be the best that he could be. And like I said, you guys have now a path that you can follow, a roadmap in front of you with people who are willing to help. And those of us that were, I'm going to say from the early 90s and beyond, prior, we were just trailblazing. We were just moving around. And I'm just going to say, take the time to really utilize the support of the people who are willing to help you. As you can say, after 42 years, I don't have that many left in this industry, but I'm willing to help as much as I can to support whoever is willing to receive the support. So with that, and she told you a little bit about our company, and again, we're a global CRO. We work a lot in the US, but we also have worked in Canada, Europe, Ghana, and Uganda. We do a lot of customized solutions for clinical services. It's not always just doing project management and clinical trials. And then we also support phase 1 through 4 studies, and we do site identification, management, and rescue for studies at risk. So I would say, what are your next steps? What are you going to do? And with that, I see there's some questions in the chat. I don't know if you guys are going to give them to me, or how did you want to go? Because I'm ready for if you have any questions.
Yes. So thank you so much, Dr. Nelson, for that. I was learning myself. I always like to, learn the different roles. And I think your experience definitely just sheds light on some different aspects of clinical research for nurses specifically. So please, anybody, please jump in. You have any questions? We have somebody that says, how does one prevent burnout in a particular therapeutic area like oncology? Lisa says, I love being a CRA and not going back to nursing, just some pointers. So I guess she's asking, like, how do you prevent that burnout in oncology?
So one of the things that, and oncology is tough. It's one of probably the most complicated or complex areas. I find that because you're in this so long, and I was an oncology nurse for many, many years, and then when I went to work in research, was still in oncology, I had to clear my mind, and that helps a lot. Because if your company is focused on oncology and you don't have an opportunity to, say, do different types of studies. I know one time when I was working with Novartis, I asked to be on a toenail fungus study. Just so to break up the monotony of, all the studies where people were dying, and it was kind of, it was a lot of travel. But then I have to stay connected and grounded to those things that bring me that bring that comfort to me. You know, I showed you I sew a lot. I like to garden. I travel that is not related to work, and find time to where I am not working. Set your hours that you're supposed to work, and when you're not working, don't work, so that you can take a fresh step. When when you can just clear your mind, get away from it, close the door if you're working from home, and then go back to it, and that helps a lot. But find something to occupy your time. Is there
Awesome.
another?
Thank you for that. Yes, we have Miss Diana. I'm sorry if I skipped any question. Miss Diana, can you give some advice to someone that's just starting out in their role as a CRA? And Diana, I guess since you are on as a nurse, but a quick question for you, Diana, are you transitioning from another role to CRA, or this is your first time in the research industry? Or where are you coming from, I guess? She'll probably type in the chat.
Okay.
But I guess Dr. Nelson, you can.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Diana. Yeah, there you are.
I was gonna say, I just graduated undergrad, and I have no experience in clinical research. I graduated with a bachelor's in plant sciences with an emphasis in breeding and genetics, and I wanted to go into pharmaceutical research. And I'm looking into either pharmaceutical research or working with devices, like medical devices. And I'm working into the field of clinical research, so either as CRC or as a CRA. And I just wanted to have some guidance on when I do get into that role, because I've had interviews and I think they went well. So I'm just waiting on job offers. But when I do get into that role, what do you recommend to be successful just starting out? So just fresh, like no clinical research background, nothing, just a science background, no reading data and presenting data and things like that.
It would depend on where you land. And so with no clinical research, they're probably going to put you through a very rigorous CRA training. And I would just say take full advantage of it. If that is, because they're probably going to offer that. And so you mainly want to learn the basics of how to monitor and the role of monitoring. Some people, like I said, some people think it's just looking at the data and it matches, but it's a bigger, broader picture than that. So just understand what it is that they're wanting you to do with your degree. And I think you were saying genetics. If the companies that you're seeking work with, if those are the type of studies that they're doing, then your role may be far more expanded than just doing the CRA role. They may be trying to put you in the CRA role just to learn the basics, but try to groom you to be where you're at a higher level so that you can help support the development of clinical trials, analyzing data, but you have to start somewhere. But I'm going to say keep your mind and eyes open to those opportunities, but whatever training they offer when you are starting out fresh, that you soak that in. And even if it is not on your learning management profile, if there's something that they have to offer that is intriguing or you think is good for you to learn and know as you advance, take it. I would say always take advantage of those opportunities as well.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Dr. Levy, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thank you for that response, Dr. Nelson, and thank you, Diana, for asking that question. So we have another question asking about the difference between a research nurse and CRA and CRC. And so, Dr. Nelson, you want to take that question? I can, always help out with the research nurse part.
Okay, I can talk about it a little bit. So I know a lot of times companies use the terms interchangeably. that, sometimes in some companies, they will say that a CRA is a clinical research associate, and they are in fact talking about someone who helps or supports the research role. They may actually be more of a lab person or in a support role at a facility. And then we also have the CRC, which is a study coordinator, which typically is coordinating the study, if I can put it in that manner. They are helping with the enrollment, they are identifying, and generally what it's saying, coordinating the study at a site. That role may be just enrolling patients for some and making sure patients stay on schedule, or it could be all encompassing. You may have to do regulatory, you may have to do drug accountability, you may have to be the dispenser. There's a lot of different things, but usually the CRC and the research nurse and the CRA, they can all be at a site but have various roles. The research nurse, oftentimes, especially in academia, a lot of times they're seeing the patients, where the CRA or the CRC is doing more of the data management and data entry. So those roles can be interchangeable. It really is looking at the facility of where you're going to be working or where they are. The two that are for industry that oftentimes people will say is the clinical research associate and the study monitor. Those two are also interchangeable. Hope that answered that question.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Nelson, again for that. Michelle, I'm sorry, I was sending you a message as well, and I was saying you can jump on in with me also. So can you give, and I'm sorry, you, I'm trying to want to make sure we get everyone's questions answered. She had also asked, in addition to that question, also does getting a master's in public health or certificates help with your growth in the profession? I guess like once you're in it, does it kind of help you level up? What's been your experience with that, Dr. Nelson?
Again, I'm going to say that it depends on what you're trying to do, and that's part of that, setting your path. Know where you're trying to go and what the role is. I can tell you that when I started out, I didn't have a roadmap, so I kept going to school. I was taking a bunch of different things, going down multiple paths, because there wasn't a true path to take. You just had to. I know I had a 2-year nursing degree for many, many years. I wasn't in clinical research at the time, but because it's the industry started saying, oh, in order to be at a manager's level, you have to have a bachelor's. Well, I was already at a manager's level. And so then, but my fear wasn't whether or not I would be a manager. My fear was that somebody was going to take my job. And so I went and got my bachelor's. When I got my master's, my first master's was in psychology, because I wasn't, I was already out of nursing, but my goal was that I wanted to, what can I do with this now that I'm in another field? So I'm just going to say, don't waste your time and energy until you really know what you're wanting to do. Now, and would a master's help? It probably will, but it's not going to, I'm not going to say it's going to help so much in research at a formal level. It may be more beneficial if you're in NIH or CDC, if it's in public health. Otherwise, if you're, I'm not going to say don't get it, because it may prove valuable, but if you're talking about where would it land you in research, it'll be the type of company that you go to work for. And your master's in public health is going to be very big in your state agencies, the federal government. They really rely heavily on those.
That's true, especially in like institutions and the universities. They actually, a lot of it really goes just like what your pay, like they decide your pay based off of the degrees you have. A lot of times they'll take an experienced person over a person that has a lot of degrees, but then if they take you with degrees and experience and they pay you for your degrees, if that makes any sense. So it gives a little bit of negotiation room, yeah. So the next question we have is from BB. She said, can you please give recommendations on how a nurse like myself could get into the field? I've actually met BB. She did one of the consultations with me on LinkedIn. And she says she's been trying to reach out to recruiters. She's fixed her resume multiple times. She's connected with CRAs on LinkedIn. She's completed a training program, and she has done the independent study called Guide to CRA. She said, and she also wants to mention she hasn't gotten any interviews. So is there anything she's missing?
I'm going to ask, what is your core therapeutic area as a nurse? And if that, sometimes it is more, are you looking for the companies who are seeking people who have no research experience? And it could be your interview skills and how you present yourself and the confidence of whether or not, again, I'm just going to say, are you teachable? And are you confident that you are ready for the role? And I know you probably, I don't know how many people, when you said you reached out to several, but I'm just going to say, find someone in the industry, or I should say, find a company and research that company on where they are with hiring new people who are new to the industry. And then what are your skill sets that you can offer them? If you're good at leading, if you're a nurse manager currently, or you know, whatever your skill set is that you can pull, that soft skills that can apply to clinical research, then when you go in for your interviews, that's where you're drawing your strength. Not, I need the job because I'm a CRA, I want to be a CRA, but this is what I have to offer and my skill set and how it can apply to what you need done based off of the job description that they have.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hey, Dr. Nelson, this is Michelle. You kind of touched on a couple of roles that nurses can do in clinical research. Can you kind of expand on other roles? You kind of touched on data management, CRA, and study coordinator. Can you kind of share the other roles that nurses may be able to do in clinical research?
Sure. There's, you know, like I said, a lot with the industry changing as much as it is right now, there are a number of new roles, I would say, and maybe not new, but just more focus put on them. So now there are areas where some companies are calling them relationship management nurses, or CRAs, where their primary role is just navigating large hospital systems where they're doing clinical research. So it may be the NYU or oh gosh, there's another big one in like Sloan Kettering, where they have multiple sites, multiple locations, and they do multiple studies. They sometimes have CRAs and nurses who, again, you can navigate, you know, a lot of these people, and you can navigate these areas, and then knowing the research side as well as how to navigate the hospitals help to support what needs to be done for the studies. Then there's also roles such, project management. There's clinical trial assistants or clinical trial liaisons. There are medical science liaisons. A lot of people, if you have your master's in nursing, you can be medical science liaisons, which are somewhat a hybrid of marketing as well as clinical research. And so because you are able to talk a lot about what's happening with the products as they come out, as well as work through the side of the clinical research, where if you're truly into marketing, they can't mesh the two. But the medical science liaison is more like that intermediary person that can go across both areas. And so there are a ton of companies that hire medical science liaisons, and their research experience does not have to be that broad. But it usually requires a nursing or pharmacy degree, but an advanced nursing degree. It just depends on the companies. But those are some of the roles.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So the next question we have is, do you think there will be more remote opportunities for jobs on the administration side of clinical trials, like post-award?
Like, what did you say, like post?
Like post-award, they're saying, do you think there will be more remote opportunities for jobs and on the administration side? So more like work from home jobs in clinical research.
Well, surprisingly, most of the clinical research jobs are remote. I know that now, like our company, we have an office, but you know, there's always some level of an office, but most of the people work remote. The managers, the line managers, project managers, most of them, for a lot of companies, they were remote even before COVID, even though there are some people who work in-house, or there may be a hybrid, but a lot of people are remote at this point. I think that we may see even more of that. And if you are like a study coordinator or looking to be, you know, just to get into study coordinating, you may even be looking at opportunities where it's even remote for you as well, because a lot of the trials are going decentralized. And so that means that they're going into the homes and they're doing a lot of remote patient monitoring. I know we have worked on projects where everything was done electronically. The patients signed their consent electronically. The study coordinators was reaching out to them electronically. They were pulling all the information directly from the EMR, and you know, they only saw that patient, you know, just maybe once or twice. So I think, and there'll probably be more studies that are going to that decentralized, where there are going to be more opportunities on the site side. Usually the site has been more come into my office, you know, come to the location, but at the pharma and CRO side, those roles have been primarily remote.
Yes, and it definitely helps also like the patient compliance, you know, much higher compliance having a decentralized trials, and, you know, getting the trials to, you know, patients in different communities. Because I was just talking with the oncology company, and they were saying that, you know, that's a big issue, is that their in-house research department is beginning to slowly dwindle down because they're just not set up for decentralized models. And so, you know, they're still using like paper binders. They're not wanting to buy into a program to do the electronic regulatory. So it's definitely a wave, and you kind of got to get on the train or it's going to leave you, you know. So Quinn says, hello, I'm a nurse practitioner looking to transition into clinical research within the next year. Is a CRA a good entry level, or should I be looking for something else? Thanks. So your experience with EMPs, Dr. Nelson, what have you seen them? What career paths have you seen, or have you worked with them?
So yes, and there are some physicians who are CRAs, and I've talked to some physicians who they said, I'm going to go do what you do because, you know, the overhead for being a physician was just way too much. So they decided to be CRAs. But I think it depends again on what your interest is. I would say research the field. Sometimes being a CRA may not be the best option. Now, are there nurse practitioners who are CRAs? Yes, but it just depends on where your current therapeutic area is, what you want to gain from it, because they'll hire you with, you know, as a CRA, but could you be better served, you know, in an area that is more in a leadership? Sometimes you know, being a clinical trials manager may not require, or project managers, sometimes the clinical trial managers do need some research experience, or they need the therapeutic experience. But just being a project manager, if they want it from a business perspective, or depending on the type of company, they will take you in that role because you've already navigated a lot of those things to be there, because of the experience that you have. And so I would say, really think about what you want to do. I know a lot of people don't like to take like those personality tests and all that. But and I don't know that they're all that necessary, but I do say that you do want to really sit down with someone who can help you find the different roles, find out what you want to do, or something that you, because if not, you could be really wasting your time. And I know there's a lot of people who would be willing to help you kind of narrow that scope of what do you want to do and where you could best be most beneficial.
That's really helpful. Yeah, really finding your niche. I actually did a consultation with a nurse practitioner. She may or may not be in here tonight, but was just, we're just talking and she was saying, she's been a clinical research nurse a long time, but she had a really great company she was working for, but it was kind of like now they wanted to utilize her EMP skills in the healthcare side. So I don't know if Quinn, you've come across that yet, but they're wanting her to kind of divide her time now between clinical research and then being a provider. And, she's like, no, I want to be a full-time clinical research nurse practitioner. But again, she works for a big university and they're always going to put you in the position of where they can benefit from you the most. So they were essentially wanting to have her give her an EMP salary, but then have her doing double work, right? And so you have to be very careful about what type of jobs you accept and knowing that you get to choose and that you let them know what you want to do and that you're happy with the position you take, because I see this firsthand, been doing this for a while. They take advantage sometimes of nurse practitioners and clinical research because we can do so much. We can almost essentially work as PIs, and they put you on these trials as sub-Is because, you almost become like the do boy or do girl for the doctor that doesn't really have time to do all those assessments, but then they're benefiting in their salaries 20, 30% off of these trials. So just be very careful, because I know we're very quick to sometimes grab a title and say, okay, great, I'm a clinical research nurse practitioner. I'm saying this firsthand because I did it. And it kind of ended up, coming back to bite me. But then when I realized quickly what was happening, so I spoke up to make sure that I was standing on the career ladder that I wanted to be on and what worked best for me. So hopefully that's helpful. Were there any more questions? Did I skip any questions? I see we have
Justin Davis with his hand raised.
Oh, Justin, unmute your mic.
Hey, Dr. Nelson, thank you so much for your time today or tonight. So I just have a quick question. So I've been in the medical field for a long time and started with clinical research. I've been in clinical research about 6 years, but the majority of that has been cardiology. So now I just transitioned to so I'm CRC, but I just transitioned to Vanderbilt and on to the oncology side. And it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
So my question is, do you have any, I'm learning, the information about oncology. The main focus is I'm doing liquid cell cancer. So, which is, a tough one. So is there any kind of recommendation of what I can view or any websites or anything that you would recommend?
Yes, so I would recommend looking up a lot of the information from ASCO, and there's a lot of information out there. Because
you said ASCO?
ASCO.
Okay.
ASCO.
Okay.
And then there's also the organizations like the Lymphoma, American Society for Lymphoma. They are very good about the information that's out there as well. And so, but you can also look up information from, oh my gosh, they're in San Diego, and all of a sudden I just drew a blank. But UC Davis, they do a very good program as well on oncology. And if you can get a chance to go to any of the, I'm just going to say this is, you're a nurse too, right? You're a nurse?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, look up some of the information on the Oncology Nursing Society.
Okay.
That they will have a lot of training there where you can, and it'll be like at a nurse level. Some of the stuff at ASCO is like, like, woo, and it's mostly, abstract research kind of stuff, but just the basics of nursing is there. And if you're in a university setting, you're advanced. They got tons of information. They do a lot of oncology. So they got
Yes.
a ton of information, and I'm sure they got an oncology training program that you can take online without even going outside of the university.
Okay.
But that would be what I would say, find someone who is also friendly to oncology, but you can learn, you have cardiology and you're doing CRC in oncology. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a translational clinical research coordinator.
Okay. And but your biggest thing is going to be to learn the therapeutic area. The rest of being a study coordinator is the same. You just need to learn the therapeutic area. It's not going to be, you need to know, all the different cell types. You need to know, that's what you need to focus on, is learning the therapeutic area. And I don't know if you have one particular tumor section that you're covering, but, if you can learn lymphomas and all the different lymphomas.
Yes, it'll be leukemia and lymphoma, just the liquid cell.
Lymphomas and leukemias, learning those and some of the older, I like to read a lot of the old stuff, because, like even from American Cancer Society, that helps you to get the information. And when I say learn it from that perspective, if you can learn it, if they can get the information down to a patient level of what is this, then once you learn that, then you can go up to what it's like at that nursing level. So if you can read it from the, the American Cancer Society or the lymphoma group, learn it there and then take it up a notch and then go into those specialty areas. But you'll be surprised how much you may already know about it.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you so much.
All right. And that was my favorite area, if I could say that now. That was my area.
That's awesome. Thank you for asking that question, Justin. Any other questions? You all are welcome to unmute your mic. We have about 3 more minutes here. Want to stay on the clock, but still make sure that if you have any lingering questions or concerns, or even if you have any comments, definitely let us know. Putting our heads together sometimes really helps. So anything you wanted to add, Michelle or Danielle?
Dr. Nelson, I guess I was always, how can I say this? I think the importance of networking in this industry. Would you kind of agree? Like, it's just kind of reaching out, meeting different people, learning, kind of taking the initiative to form relationships, because that could be where your next job comes from.
I agree. I think networking is very good. I also think that I have some networking is good when you know what you're networking for. Sometimes, and like I said, you want to play to win. And every time you see somebody or talk to them, you don't have to walk up and say, "Hi, my name is Pam Nelson. I'm looking for a job as a CRA." Not that kind of networking, but just letting people know where you are and then staying in contact with them. So that type of networking. And then you also need mentors. You need people to, whether you're in the industry, whether you have the role or not, if you're studying something on being a CRA or being a project manager and you're in a project management class and you need some help from project managers, you reach out to project managers who's on LinkedIn. But at the same time, I think you also need a sponsor. So, and oftentimes when you need a sponsor, the sponsor, you're not going to walk up to someone and say, "I want you to sponsor me and to get into XYZ company." The sponsor is going to identify you because you've been networking with them. They've kind of mentored you along the way, and they know when you're ready. And they're going to be the one talking about you when you're not in the room. They're going to be the one that's going to refer you for a position when that position comes up. And then if it's the same company that they're in, they're going to make sure you're successful. So I think networking is important, and it's probably the start, but it's just a start of a bigger process that you will need to be successful.
Makes sense. Well, that's awesome. Go ahead.
I was just saying thank you.
Yep, that was good. So any closing remarks you have, Dr. Nelson?
I'd just like to say thank you for inviting me to speak. And I hope that the information was very helpful. And like I said, it was really just giving you some nuggets. And that when you do land that position, that you also be open and receptive to helping others to make a difference as well. Because again, I mean, the minority presence, as big as this industry is, and there's many of us here, there's also very few of us that are representing well. And if I could say one last thing, don't try to manipulate your way into this industry. Just be real open and honest. And I've talked about it to others before. I read a lot of resumes, and when people are telling me they're new to this industry, I'm looking to see where you went to school. I'm looking for company names. And a lot of times when, we know that there are people who are just putting down different things that they could not have completed the work that they've done over the time frame that they say that they have. And those of us who are hiring CRAs, we're looking at those types of things. So just be open and honest. And if you have the experience, great. If you don't, then don't worry about it. Pull to your strengths and get the work on your own merit versus, trying to buy your way into the industry.
That is huge. That is huge. And because of course, I mean, I think that's a great closing note, Dr. Nelson, and just saying that be fair, be honest, and you'll get that back in return. So we thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to, getting you back on in the future. I was sitting here like, maybe we could do like a meeting of the nurse CEOs or something, some type of just all in one room and talk about our experiences. So this is really good. So thank you all. And just to close out, remember, as we echo what Dr. Nelson said, get in the game, look for some support in all forms, never undervalue someone's experience or their position, or feel like someone is too high for you to speak to, because that just may be your ticket to get in the room. You all have a great night, and thank you all for joining the nurses of BWICR.
All right. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. Thanks, Dr. Lovey. Danielle.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.